This is an Empty Closet Radio podcast. Get more at facebook.com/emptyclosetradio.
Hi, I'm Andrew.
And I'm Sam.
And this is The Empty Closet.
The show for everyone, whether you're in the closet
Or out and proud.
or somewhere in between.
.9 Coast FM. You're in The Empty Closet with Andrew and Sam. Now, today is a very special episode. We are going down to the Cairns Sexual Health Centre and we're going to find out all about World Hepatitis Day. So stay tuned for that. Later on in the show, we've got some upcoming events. We've also got quite a bit of amazing music, as per usual. Make sure that you do check us out on the podcasting app of choice. Search for Empty Closet Radio. Hit the subscribe button. You'll be kept up to date with all of our episodes, and you can listen to all the ones that we've done in the past. Also check us out on social media. So just search for Empty Closet Radio. Hit the like button or the follow button if you're using the tweeting bird. You can tell I'm a pro. Anyway, let's get on with the show. You're on 101.9 Coast FM in the Empty Closet with Andrew and Sam.
You broke up with me. For the life of me, I couldn't figure out what I did wrong.
Empty Closet Radio. Listen to us using your TuneIn radio app on your smartphone. Very smart.
101.9 Coast FM. You're in the Empty Closet with Andrew and Sam. Now, we've come on a special little road trip, Sam, down to the Cairns Sexual Health Centre. And joining us today from Cairns Sexual Health is Rhonda. Rhonda, welcome to the show. You've also got Jay here. Jay, you've been on our show before. Welcome back into the Empty Closet.
Thank you for having me.
Now, I wanted to start with you, Rhonda. You are obviously working as one of the clinicians here in sexual health, and one of the special areas of interest that you've got is around hepatitis. Now, this is something that we might have heard of, but potentially don't really know what it is. Can you tell us in a brief outline, because I know that it's quite complex, a brief outline, can you tell us what is hepatitis?
Hi everyone. So hepatitis is an inflammation of the liver, and it can be caused by many things. Like some people might take a little bit much Panadol and get hepatitis. It can also be caused by drinking a bit much, can make your liver a bit crook. But what we're talking about today is viral hepatitis. So that's hepatitis B and C that are caused by a virus, although we might just mention hepatitis A as well, which is another virus that people have heard about.
All right, so A, B, and C are the main varieties, if you like. I've heard of some of these. Like, you can get, vaccinated when you go travelling to some countries. You have to get vaccines against some kinds of hepatitis. What's that all about?
Okay, so you can get a vaccine for Hep A and Hep B. People might have heard a little bit about Hep A in the news the last couple of years. There was an outbreak from people eating frozen blueberries. So Hep A is the one that you can get when people don't wash their hands when they're doing food prep. So, you hear of a cafe that's closed down in Sydney because, someone didn't wash their hands before making the sandwiches. So we call it the oral fecal route. Hep A will affect you kind of briefly, but make you quite sick with a gastric bug for a few weeks, and then you'll resolve it and you'll get over it. It's not very good to get it, though, if you're immune compromised or you're elderly or you're young. So that's why it's a great idea for everyone to get a vaccine for Hep A, and particularly if you're travelling. For Hep B, you can also get a vaccine for Hep B, and most Australians kind of over the age of any Australians under the age of 30 have probably been vaccinated at school. It's a good idea to check. Some of us over 30 may or may not have been vaccinated for Hep B. It's something you can check really easily with your doctor. And Hep B, you can get it several ways. Like for a lot of people living in Australia, they've got Hep B from their mum when they were born, so they've been living with it for a long time, and their mum or dad might have had it for a long time, and their parents as well.
So is hepatitis B the sort of thing that really affects your quality of life? You say some people have lived with it for a long time.
Yeah, it's quite frightening, hepatitis B, actually. If you have 100 people in a room living with Hep B and you do absolutely nothing, 25 of them will die from it. So really high rates of death. In Australia, around about one person per day dies from Hep B, and that's completely preventable death. So about, 370 people a year. For people who it doesn't affect, they're fine, but about 50% of people with Hep B will have liver problems, and that will start affecting their energy, their ability to sleep, their ability to kind of get on with life, and probably they're going to be a little bit scared about dying from their Hep B.
Right, okay, so if you've got any of those symptoms, go and talk to your doctor. But we're not suggesting that everyone who experiences tiredness is suffering from Hep B.
Oh yeah, probably suffering from parenting like me. Look, the great thing about Hep B is actually there's excellent one pill once a day medication with very low side effects that can keep people right for forever. So it's just a matter of knowing who has Hep B and watching their health for when they might need to go on treatment, and then we can put them on treatment, and that works beautifully.
And the last one that we'd like to talk about is hepatitis C, which is probably, I think, in the minds, or in my mind, is probably the most scary one. I think it's got the most stuff attached to it.
Yeah, there's a lot of stigma attached to hepatitis C. It can have really serious health impacts for people. Again, if we have 100 people in the room with Hep C and we do nothing, a good number of them are going to have troubles. They'll have troubles sleeping, perhaps troubles with depression, troubles eating the food that they enjoy, troubles with energy, troubles with brain fog, and a small number of those people are going to get really sick, be lined up for a liver transplant, and there's not enough livers for everyone. And again, we see around 2 people a day dying from hepatitis C in Australia, which is unnecessary. And I say that particularly now because we've got a great new treatment for Hep C that will cure people.
So we're going to talk a bit more about that new treatment that's become available for Hep C a bit later in the program. Right now, we'll go to a track. You're on 101.9 Coast FM in the Empty Closet with Andrew and Sam.
I've never been afraid of love. Ain't never shed a tear for no
Empty Closet Radio. Like us on Facebook.
I'm laying it down.
101.9 Coast FM. You're in the Empty Closet with Andrew and Sam, and we are talking all about World Hepatitis Day, which is Saturday the 28th of July. So that's coming up, and I know there's a bit of work to be done here in Cairns around World Hepatitis Day, which is really exciting. Now, joining us in the studio, we have Jay. Jay, you've been in the Empty Closet before, so welcome back. I notice that on this occasion, when you're visiting the closet, you are looking really, really well compared to last time. What's happened in the last couple of months for you?
Well, Andrew, last time I saw you on Empty Closet, I had just finished the triple therapy to clear the virus hepatitis C. Since I've seen you, I've done the new direct-acting antiviral treatments. For me, Harvoni, which was only 12 weeks, and I feel fabulous.
And might I just say, I know that this is not a visual medium, but you're looking fabulous. You're moving around a lot better than what you were. It's amazing to see what a transformation. And this is all because you did this new treatment that's like, I call it a treatment, but there are some people that will be calling it a cure. Tell us, what's the difference?
Well, it definitely is a cure. 2 years on, I'm still virus-free, and I expect that for the rest of my life. It's just been amazing. There were no side effects, increased energy almost immediately, better sleep. I don't have brain fog, as Rhonda said. I can think. It's just been amazing.
So I want to rewind your story a little bit. Can you tell us a bit more about how it was that you came to know that you had contracted hepatitis C?
I found out that I had Hep C in 1996 after a divorce and a subsequent sexual health check. It was a bit of a shock to me. I didn't know, and at the time it was fairly minimalised by the doctor, and I just carried on with life. Then I did 4 treatments, or 3 treatments of the old treatments, and just shoot me now was my motto.
So the old treatments were not working for you. Did they leave you tired? Did they give you any improvement in your quality of life?
No, actually, they made my quality of life worse. The side effects from the treatments, some long-lasting, just made life almost unbearable. And at times, I really didn't think I wanted to go on.
Yeah, that's a really hard place to be in when the treatment, you're trying to do the treatment which is the right thing, and then it becomes a really difficult thing in and of itself. What were the sorts of things that you were struggling with before the treatment? Did you know that there were going to be some side effects with these older treatments?
Well, you're made aware that there are side effects, but unfortunately, each person, it affects each person differently. So the side effects could be lesser or more severe depending on the individual person. For me, they were on the worst scale, and they didn't do anything to clear the virus. And just basically nearly a year on treatment, and then another year to recover, and then a new treatment came out, and think you'll try again, because I'm no quitter.
Absolutely not. Perseverance is one thing that you've got in spades, which is lovely.
So just for anybody listening out there, you've had great success with the new hepatitis C cure. What would you say to anyone who's maybe a bit nervous about coming in or seeing their doctor about it, about the new treatment? What advice would you give them?
I would say to them, ring up your GP right now, make an appointment, go in and have a chat with them, talk about it. For most people, the side effects are so minimal, you don't even have to reveal that you're on treatment if you don't want to. It's just between you and your GP these days. For some people, it's 8 weeks. For some people, it's 12 weeks. But yeah, do it. Crazy if you don't.
Absolutely. And what a lovely success story that you've had with, you're up and moving around, and you're like a new woman.
Oh, I feel like a new woman. No, I just...
You're on 101.9 Coast FM in the Empty Closet with Andrew and Sam.
You know I never felt this low before.
Empty Closet Radio, because no one else wants to be stuck in the closet. God.
101.9 Coast FM, you're in the Empty Closet with Andrew and Sam. Joining us in the closet is Jay. Jay, you had hepatitis C, and we're talking about this because it's World Hepatitis Day on the 28th of July. Obviously, hepatitis C has quite a bit of stigma attached, and where there's something that has stigma attached, there's generally organisations that help you through. Can you tell us what are the sorts of resources that are available in Cairns? Did you use some of them?
Well, I started my journey before I came back to Cairns, so I utilised at that time Hepatitis Queensland, which is in Brisbane. You can check their website. When I came back to Cairns, I came to Cairns Sexual Health because that had been my previous experience of where you go for treatment. And just received a huge amount of support during the 5 years that I've been back in Cairns and been not only getting treated but working with sexual health unit under the guise of CHAT, Cairns Hepatitis Action Team. And in the last 5 years, we've tried to raise awareness and get people tested and support people on treatment. It's an amazing place with amazing people who work here.
So have you had good support through your GP?
Yes, in the later time I had great support from my GP who got me onto the new treatments. Other GPs have been good, some not so, mostly through lack of education and awareness on their behalf. But the good thing about Cairns Sexual Health is that they work with this every day. They know the ins and outs of it. They have all the testing equipment. So if you come up here for a test, you can come in, get tested, know the results, and get support, counselling if you need it, prescriptions, everything.
And I know you said that you'd been involved in a special team here at Cairns Sexual Health, the Cairns Hepatitis Action Team, CHAT. Tell us more. What do they do? What does it look like?
Well, it started as a group of mostly women in Cairns who all had hepatitis C and were either being treated, had just been treated, or waiting for treatments. We were basically on our last legs survivors, and thought if it's the last thing we can do, we'll raise some awareness about this disease within our own community and see if we can help other people take that step to go on treatment and support them if we have to. And it was an amazing journey. We had art exhibitions, done amazing things, and I think it's made a huge difference in far north Queensland for raising awareness around this disease.
So I guess it raises awareness, and then the flip side of having a group like this is it also allows you to network with other people who are going through the same struggles as you. Did you find that helpful on your journey?
Very helpful. I mean, you can't do it on your own. In the old treatments, it took so long. Like my last treatment in the old therapies was 36 weeks. I don't have any family. I couldn't do it by myself. So those women supporting me, letting me know, like just checking in with me to see if I'm okay. Rhonda took me to fill scripts at different times when I just couldn't drive. So yes, it was vitally important.
So with these sorts of, with the sorts of things that you experience with hepatitis, does it make like everyday life a lot harder?
Well, let's put it like this. In the last 5 years of treatments in Cairns, I barely leave my house. I'm a video queen. I never go out. In the last 6 months, I'm never home.
All right, so quite a transformation there. You're on 101.9 Coast FM. You're in the Empty Closet with Andrew and Sam, and we're talking about World Hepatitis Day, which is on the 28th. So that's this Saturday coming up.
Empty Closet Radio, facebook.com/Empty Closet Radio.
Hanging out with the cool kids, the cool kids.
101.9 Coast FM. You're in the Empty Closet with Andrew and Sam, and we're here at Cairns Sexual Health Centre. We're having a chat with Rhonda and Jay just about World Hepatitis Day and some of the challenges faced by living with hepatitis. Now, we're mainly focusing on hepatitis C, which probably has the most stigma attached to it. Rhonda, I want to know, what are some of the stories that you've heard that are some examples of stigma that's attached with this disease?
I think, stigma can come in many forms. Sometimes it's the stigma, that we experience from other people, and sometimes it's our own, deep worries about what people are going to think of us. So it's not unusual for me to get a phone call from someone who wants to know if they need to buy a separate washing machine if they can't wash their clothes with their family. It's not unusual for me to hear from people who, within their sexual relationship, have stopped having sex, in the last 10, 12 years since they were diagnosed with Hep C, because even though intellectually they know it's not an STI, that it's a bloodborne virus, there's just this terrible fear of passing it on to somebody. And so it can really affect people's choices around their romance, their sexuality, even having children. So it can be quite disabling for people. And then when people do talk about having Hep C, and often that's within a health service kind of context, they can get stigma there too, and then it really puts them off talking to the next doctor or nurse about it. So they might, they might have a broken leg, and it might be on their record that they've got Hep C, and then an assumption is made that perhaps they're an injecting drug user, and then an assumption is made that perhaps they won't be very good at managing their pain relief, and so then you get a whole kind of worry about whether somebody's going to get adequate pain relief for what they're going through. And I don't mean to accuse anyone there, because I think we've got a great health service in Cairns, but I also know that research shows that most people experience the most stigma from within a health service.
So with that in mind, if people have concerns about speaking to their regular GP about their Hep C status, if they're not sure, if they are sure and they're not comfortable with their GP, would you recommend that they come into sexual health?
Well, luckily we've got a few doorways in Cairns, and I think we've had a campaign called Cairns Hep C Free by 2020, and it's been a really positive, upbeat, resilient kind of campaign, really informed actually by talking with people like Jay about how we want to put our messaging out. And I think we've actually brought a lot of health services along. It's really unusual for a GP to be able to treat a chronic illness and cure it, and doctors are saying to us they've never been more hugged. So it's actually a really lovely time to be working in this sector, to be able to actually do something for someone that really works. So if you go onto the Hepatitis Queensland website, they've got a service directory, and you can find out who the doctors are in Queensland or in Cairns who are used to working with Hep C, and you'll get a great reception from them. You're really welcome to come in here to Cairns Sexual Health, but we're not the only option. And the Cairns Liver Clinic are also really happy for people to just give them a ring and have a chat.
Absolutely, and I'm sure that all of these medical staff are really highly trained, so that they don't make some of those false assumptions that we were talking about before, where there's some assumptions around perhaps you're injecting drug use or those sorts of things. And what are these the sorts of assumptions that are made based on like a little seed of truth, or is it just something that's completely out of left field?
So it's true that, a lot of people have contracted their Hep C through injecting. And it's also true that a lot of people don't know how they got their Hep C, and there's a lot of ways to get it. You could have had any kind of surgical intervention before 1989 when we weren't looking at, where blood products came from. You might have had a tattoo. And I think it's important to note that we all make life decisions. In our health service, we treat people who've been overexposed to the sun, or they've driven too fast in their car, or they've overeaten, we're all human. I think it's important to just accept people for what they come up with.
Of course, and they're all just different decisions that we've made. The one that freaks me out the most is around tattoos. Because obviously tattoos are like really, really popular these days, especially amongst young people. What are the actual risks associated with getting a tattoo inked on you these days?
Well, Andrew, I actually got my hepatitis from getting a tattoo back in the late 80s.
And did you get this tattoo done at at a tattoo parlour? What was the environment sort of like?
Yes, I went to a professional tattoo parlour, but back in those days, they may have changed needles, but the ink was just from one client to the other. In this day and age, if you want to get a tattoo, go to a professional tattoo studio. You can ask them to look at their equipment. You can ask to view their health certificate. If you're in any doubt as to their cleanliness or hygiene, just leave and go somewhere else, because there are plenty in Cairns that have quality services. Our biggest concern of tattooing is people buying guns off of eBay and tattooing themselves, or young people having tattoo parties at home with no real understanding of the dangers and the hygiene requirements. And all likelihood there will be some of those young people who will be transmitting unwittingly the disease to themselves or their friends.
So this is actually quite a serious route of transmission for these days still.
Yeah, and I guess I would say to anyone who's out there listening and feeling worried about coming in, at Sexual Health, we're not going to ask you how you got your Hep C. That's not important to us. What's important is that you come in and that we offer you the healthcare that you need in an environment that's welcoming and friendly. And I can guarantee you're going to leave with a smile on your face, because everybody's lovely here. I can vouch for all the staff.
Absolutely, and that's overwhelmingly been my experience as well and I've had my fair share of things I've had to see the Sexual Health Centre about, Sam.
Andrew has nicknamed it Sexy Health for some reference to everybody listening.
I mean, I guess, I would say, because we're on the empty closet and I'm an out lesbian, sometimes for us lesbians, we're not the first people to go to the doctor. If you're sitting at home listening and you want to chat to someone, queer, you can give me a ring at Sexual Health. I'm happy to chat.
Oh, thanks so much for that, Rhonda. We'll have all your details up on the website, and also just keep listening to our interview, because we've got some more coming up straight after this. You're in the Empty Closet with Andrew and Sam.
Empty Closet Radio, because no one wants to be stuck in the closet.
101.9 Coast FM. You're in the Empty Closet with Andrew and Sam. Joining us in the closet today, which is actually down at Sexy Health, is Jay and Rhonda. Rhonda, you're working with Cairns Sexual Health around the hepatitis. Is it the Cairns Hepatitis Action Group? You've been involved with that, and of course you've got a big thing coming up in the next few days, which is World Hepatitis Day. Tell us, what are the sort of plans for our local community, or what are the goals for World Hepatitis Day this year?
So mostly this year we're focusing on what we're good at, which is speaking and telling our story. So getting as much in the media as we can to encourage people to come in for treatment. So the new Hep C treatment is a really good news story. It's tablets only, usually only one tablet once a day, no injections like the old treatment. We've got a 97% cure rate, almost no side effects. It's a low cost prescription. If you've been treated in the last couple of years and you're worried you might have contracted it again, we can retreat you. And everybody is welcome regardless of what's going on in your life. So you might have heard, you can't come in for treatment if you're still injecting, or you can't come in for treatment if you're drinking. Not true. We're happy to see everybody. So the goal for World Hepatitis Day this year is to just get everyone in and everyone on treatment for Hep C.
And these treatments, you've mentioned that they're very low cost. They're accessible to everyone, it sounds like. If you don't know whether you have hepatitis C or not, how do you go about finding out? And is that process lengthy?
So it's just a simple blood test. There's a couple of things to just think of in your mind when you're ticking off the list. Anyone who's ever been in prison, anyone who's ever injected drugs, and it's just a little bit like pregnancy. It only takes one time back in the 60s or 70s. If you had a little bit of fun back then, just have a think. It's a good idea to have a Hep C test. Yeah, if you've ever had a tattoo, if you've had medical procedures overseas or before 1989, and I'm looking at Jay to see if there's anything she thinks I've missed off the list, you can come in and have a blood test and we'll have the result back for you in about a week.
So it's all very quick and easy once you've made that decision to actually front up, which I know can be a confronting decision for some people. But I know that the access through to Cairns Sexual Health Centre, which is probably one of the best places to get it done. You'll be very well supported. The access is very private, like nobody really knows whether you're here to see the dentist or here to get your hepatitis status checked.
Yep, people come in to see us for a huge variety of reasons. So, hopefully everybody's, pretty comfortable to come and say hello to us.
And you mentioned a bit earlier about a plan to have our area free of Hep C by, what year is it, 2020, is that right?
Yeah, so we came up with that plan because it rhymed, but also it is an achievable plan. I think the plan for Australia is to have Hep C eliminated by 2028, and by eliminated we mean eliminated as a public health risk, so under control. So in terms of how we're tracking with that, we're on top of Hep C at the prison, and prisons are often real powerhouses for producing Hep C because they don't have needle and syringe programs. So we're saying we're Hep C free at Lotus Glen Prison. We have the odd chap arrive who comes with Hep C and we get him on treatment pretty quickly. So we're officially the first prison in the world to achieve that status, and we've got a few published journal articles about that. And we feel like we've treated the majority of people in Cairns. We've treated everybody that we know of in Cape York and Torres Strait. And we've still got a bit of work to do getting out and about in the regions. And I think there's probably still a few people in Cairns, listening who are uncertain. And we really want to reach out for people and give them that opportunity just to keep everybody healthy so that people don't run into troubles of cirrhosis or liver disease later in life.
Is it the sort of thing that really affects like one type of person over another? Like I know you said that we heard about this chat group is mainly made up of women. Is that because it's mainly women that are affected, or is that not true?
No, it's not true, actually. I mean, we've often joked that we look a bit more like a menopause support group than I think it's just how women like to gather together. And we have had the odd chap join the group and come and go, and we'd love to have, some more blokes in the group to kind of help even out the pictures when we're in the paper. And look, the chat group is amazing. I say we because I'm so grateful and lucky to be facilitating that group of community members who really help me direct my work. But it's been the most rewarding part of my job, working with these women and hearing about what's going on for them and kind of directing the lobbying and advocacy work we have to help get these new treatments available for people. Anyone who'd be interested in joining this group is really welcome to contact me. And sure, most of the group are pretty actually out and proud and in the paper and on the tally, but you don't have to be. You can be kind of helping us in other ways in the background, checking our media campaigns for kind of tone and wording and seeing if they feel right to you. We really value people's input.
We always need those backroom jobs, right? That's what makes the world go round, I think.
Backroom jobs, Andrew?
You get used to Andrew's innuendo that comes into everything he says.
I don't even realise what I'm saying most times, Sam.
I know, which kind of makes it funnier. And then when you do, it just becomes, it's not even innuendo, it's just blatant.
Oh, well, you still love me, right?
If you're going to have a backroom time, having it at Sexy Health is the place to have it.
Well, that's true. I can't think of anywhere better. You're on 101.9 Coast FM. You're in the Empty Closet with Andrew and Sam.
We don't need to run over pros and cons.
Empty Closet Radio, 9 p.m. Tuesdays, 101.9 Coast FM.
101.9 Coast FM, you're in the Empty Closet with Andrew and Sam. Now, every week we try and keep you up to date as much as we can with what's going on around the LGBTI community of Cairns. And this week is going to be pretty busy, just like every other week. On Thursday night, so that's Thursday the 26th, from 6 p.m, there is a trivia night with a difference. It's called Scoregasm. Now that's being held at the Conservatory Bar, which is number 12 Lake Street. And when you get there, it's just a couple of bucks at the door, and you'll get the ability to win amazing prizes, I'm sure. But also you'll be supporting Cairns Tropical Pride. Cairns Tropical Pride is coming up as well. That is not this week, but in a few months' time. So get ready. There's a few things we have to do to prepare. One of the things that we have to do to prepare is plan out a float. There's a float planning workshop happening on the 28th of July. That's this Saturday. That's happening at the Quack head office. So that's at Draper Street. It's the corner of Draper Street and Mulgrave Road, just next to the tyre place there. Now, they're preparing a float for the Cairns Festival. Of course, last year in 2017, Cairns Tropical Pride, they won the second place in the Cairns Festival Grand Parade. So, of course, now we're starting to prepare our float for the 2018 parade. Now, the parade theme is Kaleidoscope, and the Grand Parade is going to be on the 25th of August from 5 p.m. We're going to be using the giant rainbow flag because it's justifiably famous now. But we're going to be stepping it up a bit. We're hoping to have the theme of Colour My World for our particular float. And they need about 30 volunteers to learn a very simple and physically non-demanding routine. They also need a few colourful and costumed people and at least 5 drag kings and drag queens. So they're having a workshop to run through the routine. That's happening from 11 a.m. at the Queensland AIDS Council, or QUAC. That's 290 Draper Street in Parramatta Park. There is also going to be a sausage sizzle. If you go along to that, it's going to be amazing. Now, also there is an opportunity to go out for lunch on Friday the 27th of July. That's with the Boys Out group. They're having a picnic out at Copperload Dam. So make sure you search for Boys Out on your socials to be able to find out the information for that. It kicks off at 12 noon at the Copperload Dam picnic area. And that is basically all that is happening in our community for this week. I'm sure that there'll be more things on next week. And if you find out about something that we haven't found out about on the show, make sure you get in contact through our socials. Just search for Empty Closet Radio and you can send us a message directly from there. You're on 101.9 Coast FM in the Empty Closet with Andrew and Sam.
Made a mistake last night. Maybe I can make it right. Sat on coaster, baby.
Empty Closet Radio. Follow us on Twitter.
It's just how I show my love. Darling, can I live it up with you?
101.9 Coast FM, you're in the Empty Closet with Andrew and Sam, and that's pretty much all I've got for today. Make sure that you do check us out on your socials. Just search for Empty Closet Radio, hit the like button or hit the follow button, depending on whether you're using the Blue Book of Faces or whether you're using the blue tweeting bird. Make sure that you do check it out. You'll see some of the links for all the things that we talk about. You'll also be kept up to date with our latest episodes. Another way to stay up to date with our latest episodes is to make sure that you check out the podcast. So just search for your podcasting app. Basically, every smartphone has one. So open your podcasting app, search for Empty Closet Radio, and hit the subscribe button. And that means that you'll have access to all of our brand new episodes as they arrive. And it's a really good way to listen back to previous episodes. If there's something we've talked about and you've thought, I missed the start of that interview, maybe I'll go back and have a listen. They're all up there. There's nearly 180 episodes available now, so make sure you check it out. In the meantime, we will bid you adieu. We will be back next Tuesday. You're on 101.9 Coast FM in the Empty Closet with Andrew and Sam.
Thanks for listening to The Empty Closet, brought to you by 1019 Coast FM Cairns.